Hi there, food friends. It's Kevin.
And Marianne behind the camera.
Welcome to Cavalcade of Food. Hey, Toots, you know what season it is?
Almost summer.
Almost summer. But if we're going to talk produce, it's rhubarb season. So, I've done a lot of rhubarb recipes on this old channel over the years because I'm not going to speak for anybody else, but I love rhubarb. And rhubarb is something that is kind of special because whether you live out in the country, rhubarb is very much a common sight in rural areas and in farm yards and places like that. But I'll tell you what, I saw a lot of rhubarb growing up in people's backyards or in the alleys of Detroit, just growing wild. And so, rhubarb is something I think a lot of people have a connection to. And that's always what I love to highlight on Cavalcade of Food is the connections that foods bring us. And so if you have a rhubarb story or you grew up with rhubarb, let me know. Share it in the comments. I brought this in just to show folks. I cut this earlier. This is from our rhubarb that grows in the backyard. And this is a fairly small stalk. So rhubarb generally is harvested in early June to mid-June, depending on the weather and when things get going. But it grows it grows throughout the whole season, but it's usually when the rhubarb is ready. And you can see that the red part of the rhubarb is down generally towards the stem end. You see that, honey?
Yeah.
And these stalks can get quite big, and they do sort of resemble celery, and they're fibrous like celery is. But the rhubarb leaves, as you can see, and this is a fairly small stalk, the rhubarb leaves can get gigantic. These leaves are poisonous. The rhubarb leaves are toxic. Do not ever eat them, okay? Let's just put that out there. The stems, yes. The leaves, no. They're no good, okay? So, we'll cut this and put it in the compost pile or whatever you want to do with it. This is what you want, okay? This is the rhubarb. And I'm going to, just dice this up into small pieces here. And really, I just cut it, and even cutting it, I can smell it. Rhubarb, for those of you who are not familiar, is quite tart. And I know a lot of times when you can eat it raw, but it helps to dip it in some sugar before you eat it. So, anyways, did I even say what we're making?
No, I don't think so. Something with rhubarb.
Well, it was on the chalkboard at the beginning of the video, but let me remind everybody what we're actually doing here, making a rhubarb upside down cake, okay? So, this cake starts with either a 9x9 or an 8x8 pan, okay? That's well greased. Spray it with nonstick spray, and we've got our rhubarb in here, okay? So to the rhubarb, I've got remember the rhubarb is tart, so I've got 1.25 cups here of miniature marshmallows. What do you think of that? Isn't that fun?
Yes.
Now, of course, marshmallows are super sweet, and they're going to be against the very tart rhubarb. Um, so just kind of sprinkle those around. All right. So now we've got our marshmallows on. I've got 10 maraschino cherries that I've just cut in half. You know how when you have a pineapple upside down cake, Mare, you always have a maraschino cherry in there, right?
Right, you have maraschino cherry in the middle of the pineapple ring.
That's right. So this is just sort of to pay homage, okay, to the sort of more traditional pineapple upside down cake. I'm even a little juice leaked out. You know what? I'm putting it in. Why not? Then I've got a half a cup of sugar that I'm going to sprinkle over all of this. And I know it's like sugar marshmallows. Yeah, we get it. It's sweet. But again, we're trying to counterbalance this very tart rhubarb. And there's a number of different varieties of rhubarb I've come to learn over the years. And there are some varieties of rhubarb that aren't super puckering tart. They're all tart, but there are some that are less so. So depending on the variety of rhubarb you may have access to, maybe it's not super tart, but the one that we've had, the rhubarb, I've had these rhubarb plants for years. They're tart. Okay, so we got the rhubarb part. Now we got to do the cake part, Mare. And here's what we're going to do. I've got a stick of butter here, softened, and I have got 1 cup of sugar. And you know what we usually do with the butter and the sugar?
Cream it.
Right. So I'm going to cream this together in the bowl. We'll come back once I get this done. Okay, our butter and our sugar are creamed up, Mare. I've got 1 beaten egg here, okay?
Okay.
Let's put that in. The whole McGill. Get this. Okay. And we'll get that mixed in. This is a very simple, straightforward kind of cake. Okay, let me just do a quick little scrape down here. Okay, so here, Marianne, I've got flour. I actually have 1 3/4 cups of flour, and I'm going to add a 1/4 teaspoon of salt and a teaspoon of baking powder. And I'm just going to mix all that together, try to keep it in the bowl. Okay. Okay. Then I've got a 1/2 cup of milk. All right. And what we're going to do is we're going to alternate adding our flour and our milk to this creamed mixture. So let's start with putting in a little of the flour. Once you see that it's kind of gotten worked into the batter, go ahead and add a little of your milk. And then we're going to go ahead and add some more of our flour. And you're going to want to scrape down. You can see that flour likes to stick to the side. So I'm going to scrape down, add a little bit more milk, a little bit more flour, and so on till it's all in there. Okay? And then we'll come back. All right, honey. There is our cake batter. So, now what I want to do is we're going to put this in on top of our rhubarb lusciousness. By the way, if I didn't mention it, the oven is preheated to 350 degrees. And this is going to bake for 50 minutes or so, up to an hour if necessary. We'll see. But this is, there's just so many great ways to use rhubarb. I often, once I've made my, baked goods like cakes or muffins or whatever, and I still have rhubarb left over. By the way, you can chop it up like I did and put it in a freezer bag, and it freezes nicely, and you can use it at a later date, or you can chop it up and put it in a saucepan with a little bit with sugar and make a wonderful rhubarb sauce, which is just delicious on ice cream and other things. And you can actually freeze the sauce if you want and use it as needed. Okay, I think I got it all. Okay, here we go in the oven. And see in about 50 minutes or so. Rhubarb upside down cake. Well, honey, we checked it at 50 minutes and it didn't pass the toothpick test. So we let it go another 10. So it's been a total bake time here of an hour at 350. Now we're going to let this cool, simmer down a little bit. And we'll come back in about 10 minutes or so, honey, and we're going to turn this cake upside down.
Or right side up.
Or right side up is the case. It'll be right side up once we turn it upside down, right?
Right.
We'll be back. Ready to turn it out? I'm just going around the edge of the cake here. I want to make sure it's completely loosened from the sides of the pan. This is always a little anxiety. I've got a plate here that I'm going to turn it out on. So, 1, 2, 3. We are going to wow, Mary Ann, does that look beautiful? Now I see that there's still a few little rhubarbs stuck to the top, but you know what? We're not going to let that get us down, are we?
No.
We're going to get those out of here, and we will just place them on the top. It almost all came out. this is, folks, you never know, but our guests won't know. Oh, the smell of this. Can you smell it, Mare, from where you are?
Yes.
There we go. So, that, ladies and gentlemen, is the rhubarb upside down cake. The marshmallows and the sugar kind of helped, hold it sort of together, make a gel almost. And then you have flecks of red from both the rhubarb and those little pieces of maraschino that we put in.
Yeah, there's a maraschino cherry like right on this edge.
Oh yeah, I see right there. Beautiful. Like a little jewel, isn't it?
Yeah.
So here's what I'm going to do. We have to just walk away and let it cool completely. But does that look delish? But it really does need to cool down. It's very hot. But okay, we made a rhubarb right side up, upside down cake. And we'll give it a taste test when it's ready. It's been a long wait, hasn't it?
Yes.
But I think it's time, honey. We are going to, I'm going to just cut a corner here into this cake. And let's show our friends what we're talking about here, Mare. So you've got you got a little cherry there. Got the nice sponge cake and the rhubarb on top. Oh. So, we had the marshmallows and the sugar, Mare, but I'm going to tell you, it's got a good balance of tart and the sweet. That tart rhubarb still comes through loud and clear. Oh my gosh. And with a cup of coffee or something, tea. Well, it's rhubarb season, at least here in Michigan. And we're celebrating. And I can't think of a better way to do it than with this cake. So, if you're a fan of rhubarb and you want to give it a try, the recipe is down below. You'll find it there. There's also a website. I'll let my sister tell you about that.
Cavalcadeoffood.com.
Cavalcadeoffood.com. And if you have not subscribed to Cavalcade of Food, please do subscribe. It does help us out quite a bit. Feel free to hit that like button if you like what we do around here at the old Cavalcade. And I hope everybody's enjoying the very best of early summer, which includes rhubarb in my book. Honey, thank you for working that camera.
You're welcome.
I appreciate. And to all of our food friends out there, stay well, everyone, and we'll see you again real soon here on Cavalcade of Food. Bye, everybody.
Bye.